Tonight, Feffoid Fury, we investigate the Feffoid Invasion of Cape Corinth, Fort Ithaca, Fort Zeus, and their incursion upon Fort Fury. My name's Julian McBain. This is the Julian McBain Show. Ladies and gentlemen, I am sitting here behind the cobalt microphone. My tuchus is upon the ermine throne, and I bring you news from Cape Corinth. I have my avatar out in the field, and as a colonist on Calypso, I see that there is yet another invasion of this same sandy area just outside of the tower. I don't get it. It's like this is every mob's favorite place to engage. Is there a beacon that the CDF puts out here? First it was Snark Snots, and then they brought in war robots, and now Feffoids. Feffoids with their oh so familiar frost abilities. They're here to cause us trouble, I'm sure. That's not what I was looking for. But honestly, the question is this is yet another call to arms for the CDF and the colonists that are enlisted by them. Is this a ploy by the CDF and by the Imperial Federal Government to make sure that the colonists are always enlisted and always operating for CDF purposes? Why would they always invade at the same spots? But before we get into that, a word about our sponsor. R-Matrix, the R-Matrix series of weapons. They produce open source blueprints crafted by a network of hardworking colonists all across Calypso and the Entropia universe. Buy R-Matrix to support your local crafter's economy and give yourself the best weapons out there in the universe. I use R-Matrix and I stand by them, and I have never been let down. R-Matrix, the best weapons in the universe. So, I'm trying to figure out why monsters always seem to attack these 4 locations. And I think it has something to do with the fact that these are supposed to be largely the population centers. I mean, yes, you have all the new colonists down at Cape Corinth, but with all the Caudatragus and other puny mobs down there, I'm sure the higher maturity mobs, the bigger things, don't really care to mess with all of those cattle. Everyone knows that Feffoids don't really like eating berry-clad. So it makes a certain amount of sense that they'd be up closer to the north, especially considering Feffoids prefer cold. But what would make them come out of that field over by Fort Fury, where the majority of them reside? And why is it always the Feffoids and never the Maphoids? The Maphoids have their large group of people up in Dustkeep Valley, and honestly, it's a lot closer than the Feffoid village over by Fort Fury. So what brought these Feffoids so far from their natural habitat? Does this mean that it might be an alliance between the Feffoids and the Maphoids? Maybe the Maphoids use the Feffoids as a way to act as a kind of bulwark against colonist incursion. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. This could be something new that we need to keep track of. I mean, really, they're all medium-level Feffoids. The ones over by Fort Fury are far higher level than these. This must be some sort of proving ground training for them. And despite the calls from the CDF, it looks like not a whole lot of CDF colonist conscripts have come out to join. Does this mean that the colonists just don't care as much about Calypso anymore? Have they moved on to other horizons, or are they just too busy trying to turn a profit on this planet? That helping out the Calypso Defense Force in its mission to protect Calypso and defend Imperial Federal interests here on the planet is no longer important. Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I think what the situation is the CDF really has it largely contained. The idea of using colonist conscripts to go and protect these areas is much more of an idea. Is much more the idea that it's not that we're actually protecting places like Cape Corinth, which have their massive sentry turrets to protect them from all mobs, bigger and small, robot or natural. But instead, it's to hone the blades and the guns of those members of the colonists that are willing to go out and fight. Because the next robot invasion could be tomorrow. You never know. And as we know, we must keep the robot tide off of Calypso and the other planets in our system. We did make an attempt to call the Imperial Federal Government here on Calypso, but we didn't get any response. The local Calypso government has stated that things like this come and go all the time. It is nothing to be afraid of, but at the same time, because of the limited number of colonists that they have on CDF permanent roles, they can't always contain them. And that's when calls like this go out to the citizenry. You decide what the truth is. Oh, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm still dealing with a cough that I've been dealing with. But as we can see, these Feffoids aren't all that high a level. So for lower to mid-level players that are, or colonists that are out here in the field, you can come out here solo if you've got the gear for it, or come out as a team. Hunt the Feffoids and reduce their numbers, so that we can call their forces and push them back to their village beyond Fort Fury. And you can always do this using the Omegaton line of vehicles and weapons. Omegaton, one of the 3 major corporations here on Calypso, they provide us with important equipment and gear. Including the digital storage system that maintains our inventory, and tanks for the Calypso Defense Force. Your support of Omegaton supports the Calypso Defense Force in all of its endeavors. Shop Omegaton. So, this definitely calls for further investigation, because out here by Cape Corinth, these are definitely mid-level creatures. But these Feffoids don't tend to be ganging up at all. They seem to be fairly young. Oh, wait a minute. Reports just in that these are outcasts, which means they have done something bad to the Feffoid population. Let's investigate with an Investifo. They've got strong health but small damage potential. 20 agility, 15 intelligence, 34 psyche, 55 stamina, 20 strength. And ladies and gentlemen, these are shared loot. This is a mega mutant of the humanoid mutant subspecies called Feffoids. I believe Maphoids are also part of this same species. After this, we will move to investigate Fort Ithaca and find out just the depth of the Feffoid menace there. Remember, folks, always fly in style. Actually, we don't know if sleep news are produced by Omegaton or Shikara. That, ladies and gentlemen, will be something I need to look up. Off to Fort Ithaca we go. What do you think of the Feffoid menace? You should drop a comment down below so we can find out just how important you think it is that we combat this menace now and every time they invade. Wait. These are level 19. They'll require something just a little bit more burly to take out, ladies and gentlemen. But they're actually in Fort Ithaca. This might be a critical need area, ladies and gentlemen. There are actual Feffoids inside of the fort. And they hit like a truck. Ouch. So we need to remember, Fort Ithaca is in trouble. Feffoids have invaded the fort center. Now we head to Fort Zeus, out in the wilderness of the west. Nope, that's Fort Erie's. Well known for being a hotspot during the migration. Is that why the Feffoids like coming around? They like to pick up the bones of different longtooth that have been there for 6 months. Speaking of which, the next migration is coming up. How will you handle it? These are also level 20. Oh, level 23. 19 to 23s and 26s. So it looks like the main force is attacking Fort Zeus. These Feffoids could have come straight out of their main stronghold in Dustkeep Valley. It's important, ladies and gentlemen, that we always keep in mind the Feffoids are almost as much of a menace as the robots are. Make sure, if you take them on, that you have full ghost armor and plates, and you are armed with an R Matrix 20 or higher level weapon. ISIS weapons, of course, are of a similar level per number. And finally, Fort Fury, the place where they originate from. Has the fort been overrun? Let's find out. We appear to be largely in luck, ladies and gentlemen. The Feffoids have not overrun the fort itself, but they do surround it now. And judging by those ice-cold farts coming off of the Feffoids, they're ready for battle. So take care when hunting outside of Fort Fury. You might be in for more than you bargained for. Thank you for joining us here today on the Julian McBain Show. Once again, tonight's broadcast was brought to you by Big Industries. For all of the most important newbie experiences, use Big Industries services on Amanthra, where they provide you with services beyond anyone else in the Entropia universe. And Omegaton, biggest supplier of military equipment on Calypso. And one of the most reliable military contractors in the Imperial Federal Government. Or the Imperial Federation. They're a corporation, they're not part of the government. Sometimes I slip. And as always, thank you for watching, thank you for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe for more parody content. I promise I will not do this very often because 1, it's hard to come up with, and 2, I don't think it might be as entertaining as I thought it would be. You all have a wonderful evening.